Okay, and
We're live.
great, thanks. Good afternoon and welcome. Because this is a remote meeting, I'll ask Ms. Parvex to please call the roll.
Thank you. Mr. Berg,
Present.
Dr. Casilius,
Present?
Ms. Robinson.
Present.
Everyone is present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parvex. Today's meeting is being shared live on Zoom. You can find today's meeting documents posted at bostonpublicsschools.org/school committee. Ms. Parvex, would you be able to introduce the interpretation for today?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Casilius. Our interpreter today is Juan, and he will be in the Spanish channel. Once I turn on the globe, you will see the small globe on the side of the screen, and you turn on Spanish, and that will be Juan. And we also have an ASL interpreter. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Charlestown High School Innovation Steering Committee and to the members of the public who are here with us on Zoom this afternoon to hear the screening committee's discussion regarding the prospectus. We are here today as part of our statutory obligation to discuss the Charlestown High School Innovation Plan submitted by Fabian Elysian, Alicia Piadilou, and Carelius Rivera. Today's meeting will be an operational one, focused on just setting up the structures to discuss and review this plan that was submitted on November 23rd, 2021. Later in this meeting, the chair of this committee will formally share the Charlestown High School Innovation Prospectus with the members of the screening committee, which will begin the 30-day window to review and then vote on the plan. I'd like to begin our meeting today by voting upon and installing a chairperson for our screening committee. At this time, I would like to issue a call for nominations for chairperson.
I nominate Jerry Robinson as chair.
Mr. Berg has nominated Ms. Robinson to serve as chairperson. Is there a second? I second. Any more nominations for the chairperson? Hearing none, I would like to close out the nominations for chairperson. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the nomination or to vote on the nomination of Ms. Jerry Robinson as chair.
Is there a second? I second. Any discussion? Ms. Parvex, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Berg,
Aye.
Dr. Casilius,
Aye.
and Ms. Robinson.
Aye.
The nominations are now closed. With there being only one nominee, I would like to entertain a motion to elect Jerry Robinson as chairperson. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? A second? Is there a discussion to the motion? Ms. Parvex, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Dr. Casilius,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parvex.
Thank you, Superintendent Casalius. Our next order of business is a discussion of the innovation perspectives. I would like to begin by asking members of the superintendent's staff to formally send the Charlestown High School Innovation Perspectives to members of the screening committee. This opens the 30-day review process for the prospectus. Given that most of the members of the committee have not formally received and reviewed the proposal, we will have a very limited discussion today. We look forward to scheduling additional meetings within this 30-day window to formally discuss and take action on this proposal. Before we begin, I'd like to ask the Superintendent Casalius to share a few reflections as she has reviewed the proposal and also met with the faculty and staff of Charlestown High School.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At our most recent Boston School Committee meeting, you said that engagement is important in any decision we make regarding our schools, and that we must ensure a process that listens to the students and the families we serve and value their input. Chairperson Robinson, your commentary is really important to me, and I too am committed to leading with engagement and partnership. Given this, I would like to recommend that in addition to sharing this prospectus with members of the screening committee, that we also post it on the Boston Public School website at bostonpublicschools.org/school committee, and that we also open up the process for a 3-week review and comment period. Members of the greater Boston community will have the opportunity to review the prospectus and are encouraged to share their comments to be reviewed by this committee. I'd also like to suggest that Dr. Charles Granson, Chief Equity and Strategy Officer, invite the authors of the prospectus to present at the January 14th Community Equity Roundtable meeting. Since April of 2020, we have engaged with our CERT, we call it a CERT, Community Equity Roundtable, and it has become a really important essential step in all of our policy and decision-making. All meetings are public and anyone can attend. I will ask Dr. Granson to reach out to the authors to support their preparation for January 14th CERT meeting, should they accept this invitation to present their prospectus. Dr. Granson will reach out to the applicants to ensure they engage with his team on their recent submission of a racial equity planning tool so that it's ready for full review. This is a required step at the very beginning of any planning process for major decisions within the district. This review will be shared with the screening committee prior to the final vote, and we will also post the racial equity planning tool once finished and presented on the school committee website. Finally, I'd like to suggest that we analyze the prospectus using a SWOT analysis through an explicit and clear focus on racial equity. Before our next meeting, I'd recommend that we actively read the proposal, consider and reflect upon the data that emerges from engagement with the Charlestown faculty, parents, and students, finding and feedback and getting findings and feedback from the public comment, and the feedback that we receive from the CERT and the analysis of the racial equity planning tool. We should also prepare our individual reflections on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the proposal, centering racial equity, student achievement, and opportunity in our analysis. All of these data points should inform our actions as we move forward. I've asked Chief of Schools Corey Harris and Deputy Superintendent of Academics Drew Eckelson to be available to share their analysis of the proposal using a SWOT analysis and the racial equity planning tool as an analytic tool at our next meeting. I'll turn it back to you, Chairperson Robinson.
Thank you, Superintendent Casalius, for sharing your thoughts on a path forward, which segues nicely into our next agenda item, setting the schedule moving forward. Before I move on to that agenda item, I'd like to open up the discussion to hear from other members of the screening committee. Mr. Berg, do you have any points you'd like to raise, with the understanding that we'll get into the details of the proposal in upcoming meetings?
Yeah, I think really the only point that I would like to raise at this time is really related to both the previous agenda item and this agenda item on scheduling. As you said, Dr. Casalius, it's important to the Boston Teachers Union and to the teachers and paraprofessionals and guidance counselors and librarians and school nurses and ABAs and all of the other educators who we represent in our schools, that the voices of our school communities, and that means of students, of educators, and of families, are essential to ensuring that any reform effort works. And it works for our students and it works for our school system. So to that end, I hope that, and the union can try to, we did meet some of our staff along with the building reps from Charlestown High with some of the authors of the proposal. We'd like to arrange a meeting with the entire faculty and staff of Charlestown High at some point before this screening committee concludes its business. And I think it also would be important that future meetings of this committee are scheduled after dismissal time for Charlestown High, so that students and educators have an opportunity to attend and hear the work of this committee.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Berg. And I agree with your comments. And I'd also like to make sure that there is opportunity that we can hear from parents of current Charlestown High School families, because I'm not sure where their voices have been in the mix as well.
And I would add students to that.
Students, yes,
That's
yes,
the-
absolutely, students and parents. Any more comments? All right. So given our discussion this afternoon, I want to communicate the following schedule for review, discussion, and action on this proposal. So today, December 22nd, the screening committee meeting number 1, which we're having right now, we are formally accepting the Charlestown Innovation Perspectives in defining next steps. And as of today, the perspective will be posted on the school committee website for public review and public comment period. The public comment period begins today. On January 7th, the final racial equity planning tool is due from the applicants. And on January 7th, the screening committee number 2 meeting will occur, review, discussion, and open public comment. So again, given what you asked, Mr. Berg, we will look at what the timing of that meeting will be. On January 14th, the CERT meeting, which is usually at 11 a.m. on Fridays, will move forward. On January 15th, the public comment period will close and feedback will be shared with the screening committee. And on January 19th, the screening committee meeting, our 3rd meeting for discussion, decision, and our vote will take place. This takes us to the end of our first meeting today. And if there's no further questioning or comment, oh, sorry, yes, Dr.
I just
Caselli.
have one more clarification.
Okay,
With these dates, we will also put them on the school committee website
yes,
so that people can see what's coming and what's up, what our next steps are. So that it's very clear to the community that we are taking this 30 days of review serious and how they might participate in this discussion.
yes. Mr. Berg?
Yeah, I'm just curious about where the recording of this meeting will be posted and publicly available.
On the school committee website as well.
Thank you.
So we'll make sure all of these, the calendar, the prospectus, the form to provide feedback, and the recording of this meeting and all meetings, including the CERT meeting as well, will be put onto the school committee website.
Okay. Anything?
And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All righty, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or objection to the motion? Ms. Parvix, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Dr. Casilius,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes,
unanimous.
thank you. This meeting is adjourned and we look forward to reconvening on January 7th and 19th. And with that, I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and get some rest. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Thanks. Ms.
Happy
Robinson.
holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Berg.
Thank you.